Hey, Fruity, come on, man. Where's your head at? I thought we'd be next to, some of them vampire girls in lace and all. But look at this. We're next to some Rob Zombie wannabe.
Then look in the other direction instead.
MTV's Downtown. Easily one of my favorite adult cartoons, and definitely one of my favorite shows of all time. Downtown follows a diverse cast of characters of different ages and backgrounds through their everyday life in New York. The show came out in 1999 and ran for one 13-episode season and was even nominated for an Emmy. The show was created by Prynoski, founder of Titmouse Animation, who has worked on just about everything, to be honest. Whether that's animation work with his studio or as a producer on a show, he's probably worked on one of your favorite cartoons. Prynoski recently worked on The Midnight Gospel on Netflix, which I would highly recommend. The show is a trippy and hilarious experience following a character podcasting with different and crazy characters in alternate universes, a deer dog, a president in a zombie apocalypse, and a loved barbarian, just to name a few. The coolest aspect about this show is that the dialogue is based on the show's head creator's podcast, The Duncan Trussell Family Hour. The conversational aspect of podcasts appears in the dialogue and helps cement the characters and their feelings as real. Downtown was the first time that Prynoski worked with using real-world conversations as inspirations for dialogue and characters. See, the fantastic thing about Downtown that makes it one of my personal favorites is the authenticity. It's not just the dialogue, but the character's personality and the use of the location as well. To understand this, we have to look at the creative process for the show. In a behind-the-scenes look on the show's promotional DVD, Prynoski talks about how MTV came to him looking for an idea for a show. At the time, he thought all of his other ideas were way too crazy to be picked up, and honestly, based on what shows he's worked on since, I don't think he was too out of pocket to think that. He ended up showing off a college project he had with the tagline, "Downtown. What do you do on Friday night in New York when you're 15? Downtown answers that question." And the rest was history. The story would be developed more and it would focus on characters ranging from their teens to their late 20s and early 30s, but with a generic tagline like that, what made Downtown successful? See, the show is based on real conversations. Prynoski and his crew went around Manhattan and interviewed random people on the street and used their stories and varying personalities to create the cast. Originally, the show was just going to be the recorded interviews becoming animated, but MTV wouldn't have it and requested they added some type of story. While these interviews and quotes didn't make up entire episodes of the show, there are still great bits of these side stories being animated.
Yeah, the dung tank thing. I think the reason that they kept me so long and I was really good at it is because in that neighborhood, Bensonhurst is where it is, it's like this total Guido neighborhood, and I was like the only one there that wasn't this total Guido, even at that young age, Even in my early teens, I was always weird. So I would totally make fun of them, and they would spend exorbitant amount of money trying to dunk me.
The voice actors also deserve their credit in bringing these characters to life. Prynoski picked people who weren't common voice actors. He also gave them leeway in editing their characters' dialogue just so it could fit their actual speech patterns. This also created more improv during the show, and you can hear that with characters always going like or while they're speaking. And sometimes they just say really random things or make really weird references that don't quite tie in with the dialogue, and even seem to catch the other voice actors by surprise.
I'ma do you in Eddie Gordo style, baby. Oh. You're going down like Nina Williams. Let's roll, baby.
After school, we went to Mastori's and made them give us a bowl of gravy to dip the french fries in, which is a bizarre custom that I don't know where you get this
They
from.
do that in Europe.
Oh, they do?
Yeah.
Aren't you cosmopolitan?
But that randomness really gives a show a special charm because in real life, people most likely aren't working off scripts. The uhs and ums and random references mirror real life interactions. And it's funny and welcoming because you can find yourself among these characters. While their backgrounds are not specifically delved into, the cast is still diverse in their ages, with a split between the teenagers and the adults. The main character of the story is Alex, a 20-something college dropout who's just moved into his own apartment in New York. Alex is on the nerdier side, collecting figurines, being obsessed with a Cookie Monster pill his grandma gave him, and dropping references to some generic nerdy shows. Alex is foil, and the main member of the teenager group is his younger sister Chaka. Chaka is a party animal who is also a troublemaker. She usually criticizes Alex's nerdier side and uses him to bail her out of the mishaps she gets into. You also have Jen, Alex's best friend, and I'm pretty sure a friend that we've all had. Jen usually makes Alex and the others the butt of her jokes, but does it as her own way of caring, only joking about Alex the most because he is her closest friend. You also have Fruity, your typical wannabe womanizer. Matt is Fruity's best friend, is the quieter one of the group, usually expressing himself in his graffiti. Mecca is Chaka's best friend, and a hopeless romantic, always hoping to meet the love of her life. You also have Goat. I don't know how old Goat actually is, but I'm pretty sure he's significantly older than the rest of them. He's the weirdo and wild man of the group. And if you remember a show named Megas XLR that used to run on Toonami, you may recognize him from there. Last, but most certainly not least, you have Serena, the goth girl from the comic shop that Matt works at, who Alex is totally head over heels for. She's probably the most down-to-earth and normal one of the group. You also do have a few side characters like Jen's roommate, Alex's Dungeons and Dragons crew, Matt and Serena's coworker who's also a wrestler by night. Also, the show does have a guest appearance by the WWE wrestler The Undertaker, which is super random. The show has characters with varying personality, and seeing them all able to interact really roped me into the show. You get to see what bridges them together despite their differences. Now you take all these personalities and drop them into an authentic representation of New York. I haven't personally lived or been to New York, but looking at some reviews of the show, people who are from there see it as a good representation as it shows more than just a generic side of the city. Spots like the tic-tac-toe chicken or the oddities that happen on the subway make the show give off more of an authentic Manhattan experience. I didn't get to see the show when it first came out, and I wouldn't have even been 2 yet when it was released. And the only reason I really know about it is because it was mentioned by RebelTaxi in one of his videos. Trying to find info about the show was super tough, and you can only find some reviews about it, and I really had to do a deep dive to find the behind the scenes videos. Chris Prynoski mentions it usually pretty briefly in his interviews. While the show is on YouTube, getting a copy can be pretty tough. The show was never officially licensed, so the only way to get a copy is going to Prynoski's old blog and ordering a promotional copy from there. I don't know if you can still do that, but I hope he still has copies, and hopefully he sees this video and I can finally purchase and own it. With adult animation being at the point it is today, and with so many new shows coming out all the time, gems like Downtown can easily slip by. I think it shares a lot of qualities with more recent adult cartoons, but it's still different enough to stand out on its own. Downtown is hilarious and weird, and it's real. My personal favorite episode is Insomnia. The episode is about Alex losing sleep, freaking out over a date that Chaka set up between him and Serena. It's the first time you see Alex and Serena meet, and kind of seeing Alex freak out, if you've ever experienced insomnia, especially around, thinking about other people, you'll definitely feel the episode. So I hope you all can check it out. That's the video. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed the video, consider subscribing, leaving a like, or if you check out the show and absolutely hate it or love it, leave a comment down below. Until next time, peace.